Welcome to the Night Pod Cometh, a podcast covering the FXX show. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm Jamie G, Esquire, 5MD, Master of Surgical Arts. He's Magnum Mills, and we're here from the Joe Blow Football Show, and we're ready to break down one of our absolute favorite episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang hits the slopes. Magnum Mills, they in for a treat tonight.
Yes, sir, they are, because things are just different on the mountain. Mountain rules, baby. Thank you for listening to the podcast and or checking us out on YouTube. We're going to do it here. We're going to strap them up. We're going to go to the top of the mountain and we're going to find that fucker, the day pod, and we will fight their asses all the way down the mountain until we're the champions. Screw that so-called champion of the sun.
Speaking of the sun, Magnum Mills, what do you say we put on our shades and hit the slopes, baby? Let's go through the plot summary in this episode, Magnum Mills, and it is fantastic, okay? This was season 11, episode 3, for those out there that want to find this and aren't familiar. This is a perfect gateway drug for the It's Always Sunny. Like this, if you need one episode to find out if you're going to be into it or not, this is up there with one that you can do. Season 11, episode 3, The Gang Hits the Slopes, originally aired back on January 20th, 2016. This one was directed by Heath Cullins. He's directed 10 episodes of Sunny, the most recent being The Janitor Always Mops Twice in season 15. Written by Dave Sharon and John Sharon, guest starring Dean Cameron as Dave Driscoll, Courtney Gaines as Roach, Natasha Allam as Tatiana, and Kevin Farley as Turkey. Plot summary in this one, Magnum Mills: Dennis and Frank battle Dee and Mac for control of the mountain, and Charlie learns the rules of the slopes. Man, oh man, this shit was fire, dude. Magnum Mills, what are the notable callbacks, appearances, and just general whatnot of this fantastic episode of Sunny?
Well, Charlie doesn't like to leave Philly. This time he apparently did it pretty good. They didn't talk about having to drug him or lock him in the trunk or anything. That's an improvement. They finally make it to the Poconos. We've heard the gang talk about the Poconos a bunch of times. I don't know that they've actually ever made it up to there. I know at one point Mac told him he was going there and then he hid in the bunker or whatever. So that happened. This is one of the few times that they use a different title card for the opening of the show. And here we get a very late 80s, early 90s style title card for The Gang Hits the Slopes. At the end here, obviously, we're going to spoil everything from this episode. So you be warned. At the end here, we see Dennis break his ankles, and he's basing his performance on a video of Free Sky skier Tanner Hill, who apparently suffered an injury and referred to their ankles being broken in the same way. And Kevin Farley here is playing Turkey. He's the brother of the late Chris Farley. The character Dave Driscoll is named after editor and co-producer of the show, Josh Driscoll. Dean Cameron is here playing Dave Driscoll. He notably was the star of Ski School and Ski School 2. This episode borrows heavily from the original Ski School and just a little bit from Ski School 2. And throughout the episode, we hear a narrator on the mountain over the PA system. That voice is actually provided by all three of Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney, and Glenn Howerton.
Before we dig any deeper into the episode, let's take a minute and talk about why we're covering this particular episode. Yes, it's one of our absolute favorites, and we have been dying to do it, but this wasn't a coinkydink, was it, Mills? This was more complex than that.
Well, a little bit, and it was actually Jamie G here himself who pitched on the Joe Blow Football Show Silver Screen that we check out Ski School. And since we were doing that, it seemed like it was the perfect time to go ahead over here, hit the slopes with the gang. Doesn't matter if you got ski poles, just grab yourself 2 bottles, put them in your hands, go down the mountain. And look, we'll talk about as we go through the episode about the similarities here, but overall, they take a little bit of dialogue. They do shoot some scenes almost directly. The overall plot is fairly similar in that you have, guys show up, you have the good skiers, the evil skiers, you have a developer trying to, do something to the mountain. And then you have, a big race along the way. Somebody may or not find love, but they will find some lust and probably some girls in a hot tub. So, it's definitely a spiritual successor, homage, whatever you want to call it, to Ski School, right down to obviously having Dean Cameron play what is more or less just the aged up version of his Ski School character. I think it's great. We're going to talk about more of the similarities as we go through the episode. But I mean, I think that's about it. We're almost there. Just right before we get into a Jamie G, I've got to I want to say the first time I saw it, this just absolutely blew me away. I think it was on live TV, so I couldn't thank God I had my DVR in it back then, I think. So I actually went back on the DVR, rewatched it right away. It was just instant classic for me. How did you feel the first time you watched The Gang Hit the Slopes?
Yeah, man, I remember this so well. Like this was that stretch for me where every season started getting better. I was so into Sunny as I was working my way through it for the first time, watching all seasons. And this was like, season 11 here, where it starts off and it's like they put together 6, 7, 8 episodes in a row here that are just complete fire. And this is almost the highlight of it, if not the highlight of it. And so when I watched this for the first time, I was like, I absolutely love this. It's a tribute show. Like I remember, growing up watching Ski School, and like there was like this whole like Ski School universe that formed, right? We had Ski School, and then I think we had like Ski Patrol, and then Ski School 2, and then maybe Ski School 2 was so bad that that's what killed this universe. But either way, it just felt like it paid tribute to the 1989, 1990, when those two decades met, and it was just a crazy time, dude. And this just paid homage to it. So I thought they did an outstanding job on this. It made me like these guys even more. And yeah, and then now after recently watching Ski School, and I've seen this episode dozens of times, I have an even greater level of respect for it because of how it's basically like a 30-minute better version of the movie Ski School. Like I'd rather watch this. It's pretty awesome, dude. And I say that a little bit in jest, but it's a great episode. And like I said, I respect it even more for what they did to make it almost a cooler version and really pay tribute to that era of shit, in the early 90s there, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect way to put it. And I would just say, if you're interested about hearing more of our thoughts on the actual movie Ski School by itself, just search for Joe Blow Football Show on your favorite podcast streaming platform. They're the Joe Blow Silver Screen, and find us on YouTube just by going to joeblowfootballshow.com. Dude, I mean, is this it? Are we ready to shred?
I think we're ready to shred some sweet powder, dude, and smash some cool brews, man. I definitely do.
Oh, this is so right down to how the episode opens on top of the mountain. They're just standing there, and Charlie's just, right off the bat, dude. I'm just in, and usually when those happen, a lot of times it's a Frank thing with the cold open like that. But here it's just, they're on top of the mountain. And I think this is one, I don't even know if I knew going in what it was. I don't know if I'd seen a trailer or knew the title of the episode. So I was just like, what's going on here? Because boy, they start to shred pretty quick.
They definitely start to shred pretty quick, dude. And it's just, how good is this opening scene? First of all, I love that they take us right there, and it's like, oh wow, they're not in the bar, they're not in Philly somewhere. Like it's cool that they do that. And then the fact that like Charlie's using the Coors Light bottles as ski poles, I just can't, dude. It's so good. Goddamn. Mac in the duster, dude, it's so Mac, it's so perfect, it's so well done. Absolutely loved it, dude. And we should talk about just how well they do. And we saw this in season 15 in The Gang Buys a Roller Rink. Like they nailed the shit with the 80s, early 90s themed. They absolutely did it here too, with the title card, the opening song. And the opening song, Devious by Gary Newman. Magnum Mills double check me on that. But yeah, dude, killer opening there.
Yeah, and right down to the ends, and obviously Mac, D, and Dennis, they shred right down the mountain, all cool, do the cool stop thing where you kick snow up and you pull up your goggles, and Charlie just goes barreling into a bunch of tables, and you can see white plastic chairs, picnic table, and he's just like, oh, and he gets up and he's still got both beer bottles in his hand, and he's like, oh man, I can't believe that just happened. And Dennis is like, well, you feel all right, don't you? Charlie's like, yeah, I guess I do. And it's like, see, it's different on the mountain. And then Charles like, and then you cut to the title card, and it's just, I mean, again, at that point, for me to not like this episode, they were gonna have to do something just when the guy's already done so many bad things. So yeah, I was right after this first scene, you know, it's probably about 90 seconds. And I was just like, oh yeah, yes, please, 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 like get rid of this commercial thing.
So good, dude. So good. When the gang meets Driscoll and we see Frank arrive, and the gang splits into two groups here with Mac and D, and Frank, Dennis, and Charlie. And we know that that doesn't last. Charlie leaves. This is an interesting one here because you don't always get Frank and Dennis teamed up. And I like that here. And of course, it's Frank controlling Dennis with his own ego and need to win, and like it's just so perfect. And the fact that Dennis is basically the main villain dickhead dude from Ski School. I mean, they're basically like, he's just a better version of him. He's more handsome, he's more Dennis, and he has better hair. But either way, it's, you could tell they pulled it from there. And so, but I just, dude, Driscoll is just, I mean, how good is this? Like, Dean Cameron just had no shame and was like, I'm just going all in. The raunchy shit that made Ski School great. This is it.
And I mean, I don't know. I think it was Reed, I think was the name of the villain in the original
Reed.
Ski School. The dude had pretty good hair, man. I know Howerton has some great hair, but you need to watch the boy Reed had some on point late 80s, early 90s hair game. So can't take that away. And again, this is the case. Like I said, I think going in, I didn't know what kind of episode this was going to be. And then as soon as I saw Dean Cameron, I'm like, that's the bull. Like I couldn't even remember his name. I'm like, that's like, I'm like, they're doing Ski School, they're doing Ski School. And then you get the scene where Frank pulls up in the limo, and that is almost shot for shot the same scene from Ski School where the evil developer pulls up, and it's, you know, it's a perfect, they start throwing snowballs and Frank gets up. And of course it's Frank, because we didn't know that. And they're like, what the fuck, Frank? And it's like, oh, we thought you were the jerk off who bought the money. He's like, I am the jerk off who bought the mountain. So matter of fact, like, he just bought a mountain, like, yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yes.
And we meet the announcer here for the first time. We get the announcer, and no one really kind of says anything yet because he hasn't started getting too specific, but that'll change.
But announcer guy, this running gag is just, it's fantastic, right? I mean, it's just so well done how they did this. And again, you know, the correlation here between the two. Can we talk about just, it's kind of a running theme throughout the episode, but mountain rules, baby. Like mountain rules, like for those of you that don't, Magnum Mills, tell the people, for those of them listening out there in the world that don't know mountain rules, baby, like what does that mean?
Basically it's the old school, boys will be boys kind of rules apply, like some Porky's type, like, yeah, it's okay to drink beer all night and show up late to work and go dangerously down the mountain and spy on women and take advantage of drunk women and very, very bad things. But basically the mountain meant there were no consequences. As long as you were the good guy, at the end of the day, it was all going to work out for you. No matter how many guys you videotaped and displayed at someone's wedding on a film portraying them to be homosexual when they were not, or whatever. It happens. You're on the mountain. Things are different. And, I think they show that here a little bit too, when you see the emphasis on like, oh, you got to wear a helmet. And Dee's like, oh yeah, why don't you slap a sticker on mine? It says pussy. And everyone laughs, and he's like, yeah, those are the rules now. I think that's also, yeah, it's A, is that a little bit real? Yes. But B, is that kind of a commentary now about how, like, if you want to do comedy now, you almost have to probably have your helmet on. Yeah, there's probably a little bit of that going on here, because again, back in the day, these writers didn't get punished. Now, if you did something like that now, you could see your career wash up real quick.
100%, dude. And the whole helmets thing with D making fun of it, when you look back at Ski School, the cool group, right, the Dean Cameron's group, the Section 8, which is funny, they're not Section 1, they're Section 8, but his team, they're wearing all the neon shit and the late 80s 90s shit, and none of them wear helmets at all. None of them. And so Dean's wearing like the strange bandana, dude, going down the thing, like it's just,
even when they get dropped out of the helicopter, they don't wear helmets in the Ski School.
They don't wear the helmets, dude. So I think that's definitely
they must have ran out of pussy stickers.
Yes. How great is D when she drops that shit? Like, I love when that's D at her best, when she's just like one of the guys and drops some like harsh, like pretty.
Yeah, this is a low-key great Caitlin Olsen episode. Like, you don't get a lot of her physical comedy, which is where she excels a lot of the time, or when she's out on her own plots. She's you don't get a lot of D and Mac team ups, I feel, too. So It's another thing to make this episode interesting, is it's different dynamics than we typically get. And she, has to kind of be the the woman's voice of this episode, and she does it in a great way that comments on both how creepy this is, but she's still funny and not like a total drag or anything like that. She's, like when she's like, yeah, I want to get off the sexual predator team, and like when she's talking about like looking at dicks, she's like, oh, how's that fun for me? She's got some great lines here, and I think she does a great job with something that could be a little bit of a tough spot to be in.
Absolutely. And because I mean they're basically paying tribute to a movie that chicks didn't really it was tough on the
not a lot of
back then,
female
dude.
voice on the original Ski School or the sequel, I can tell you that. Not
a lot of female
not much
body.
the writer would. Yeah, a
lot of anatomy, but not a lot of voice. Magnum Mills, the next scene is one of my favorites. It's an absolute banger, and that's where Mac and Dee team up and go to Babe Manor. Babe Manor, bro, where Dave Driscoll lives with his roommates. And dude, I mean, this is Babe Manor is literally exactly Section 8 where he lives, Dean Cameron's character lives in the movie Ski School. I mean, it's almost identical. Very, very, very cool. Obviously the shocker, the big moment was the "Did you come in my burrito" moment, which is so funny, dude. It took me off guard. Like, it was beyond funny for me when the first time I couldn't even get, like, I was losing my shit on that, dude. Like, it was that good because I didn't see it coming at all. It's like he sees him looking around in the fridge, like, oh, your burrito's in the back there. He takes it out and he just immediately dead serious face, dude. "Did you come in my burrito?" "I didn't come in your burrito, man. I wouldn't do that to you." I mean, just the best response ever. Super duper funny. And again, a little shout out to the whole helmets thing because he's like, a lot of concussions. He's not right up there. So just a great, great, great moment in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, who would want to mess with a dude named Roach's burrito? I mean, just not ideal. And you even see, I think they have like Babe Manor painted on the door in Ski School. They have, instead of Section 8, they just have an 8 painted sideways like an infinity sign because apparently, their bullshit never ends. And if you just look around here, like one of the best runners too is the can thing that Driscoll's all excited that they're going to be collecting cans and that's how they're helping pay the rent. And there's no deposit in Pennsylvania, so they're just turning these in straight for recycling for them. I think you'd have to, I don't know where he's living, but pretty sure you'd have to collect a lot of cans to pay the rent. Even back in the 80s, even in the 80s, back when you got 5 cents per can in the state, I still think it would be tough to pay your rent via cans unless you really, a couple of ragers.
Couple of ragers
every night.
Bro. Every night we're emptying cans, dude.
It's Babe Manor. I mean, yeah, that's what you got to do, dude. You just crack them and pour them right down the drain because that's
emptying cans, dude. Let's talk a little bit about Babe Manor here. We mentioned it's almost identical to Section 8 and Ski School. Obviously, some of the things that stuck out. I mean, they have camo curtains. I mean, dude, if you're rocking camo curtains, this is definitely Babe Manor. Am I right? I mean, that's obviously
literally
meant to be a joke.
Same TV from like the actual Ski School. It's like literally right out of that. Like the huge, it probably weighs like 150 pounds. One of those. If you haven't seen them back in the day from the late 80s, early 90s, you had to call a couple people over if you had to move a TV. It's not like now, like, oh yeah, I can mount a 42-inch television on the wall by myself. We've come a long way.
Yes, no, we absolutely had, and they had the record player from the 60s, which was hilarious.
They apparently could hook up to the PA too, and it had very good sound quality and everything. So
yeah,
you gotta like that. I think they were quietly bumping some Huey Lewis during the upcoming party scene. And then for me, another thing that if you ever move and you have one of these, it's rough. They have a foosball table, but the best part is they also use it as their dining table. So if you look, they have either a big piece of plexiglass or glass on top of it with stools. So that's where they eat, on the foosball table. Pretty cool.
Outstanding.
You see why the babes go there.
Absolutely, dude. The babes feel very comfortable there. It's Babe Manor. It just, God, if you don't understand the late 80s, early 90s, just watch this.
Oh, and Kevin Farley being all sad about when they're like, oh, yeah, then someone asked, when's the last time you had a babe in Babe Manor? And Kevin Farley says, oh, my daughter was here to serve me a summons like a couple of months ago or whatever. And Mac's like, we should count it. Or Driscoll's like, count it. That's, so they kind of know too, like these guys maybe, which pays off the end of the episode when Dee and Mac each other like, maybe these guys aren't as cool as we thought they were.
Yeah.
Just saying, there might have been some signs if they had been paying attention earlier in the episode, they might have picked up on that.
Yeah, there might have been a little bit of foreshadowing there with it's kind of just sad and pathetic a little bit. But the next scene, we get Frank, baby, and Frank is breaking down his plan to Dennis and Charlie, And of course, we meet the lovely Tatiana. Magnum Mills, is Tatiana not the exact chick that really gets over on Johnny in the movie Ski School and, seduces him?
Yeah,
And
played by Ava Fabian, I believe. Pretty much the same kind of dark haired, European
yes.
looking supermodel type. So yeah, I mean Tatiana's right up there, and she is not, in fact, a candy model, but she is the only model you need. And I think we had a little bit different feelings because Dennis gets a little bit creepy with her, and it's not out of character for Dennis Reynolds, but for me, it's just it's out of tone with the rest of the episode, which is like I think they're trying to just show kind of how bad these guys were in the original, but these guys were bad, but the Section 8 guys were also pretty bad when it comes to their treatment of women, almost equal. So I don't know if this really, I don't know, it just didn't fit with me. I didn't think he had to go there for that joke or whatever.
And this is one where we disagree just a little bit. I actually, because I love Dennis when he's at his creepy, terrible worst. And again, that's it's a great character, but I just found it so Dennis and so funny where he just looks at her and he props his chest up and this will do. I will enter you. You will be clean, and I will enter you when I'm ready. And for how long I'm inside of you will be determined by me. Like, it's just so Dennis, and it's just so funny. So, definitely creepy as hell. Not the right way to speak to a woman ever in a million years, but it is Dennis Reynolds, for Christ's sake. So we can kind of expect that. And then, dude, how awesome is Frank's hat, dude? It's like, this is a great look for Frank.
I'm pretty sure it's the dude in the original Ski School's got a developer guy, doesn't wear a hat that I remember. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be shouting out some sort of 80s movie villain type of thing, but I can't figure it out. But honestly, the look is great for Frank. I mean, it's kind of the closest one is I think it's kind of similar a little bit to the hat that Rocky wears in his early movies, but that's I don't know. I think it's a good look on Frank though. He pulls it off.
Definitely
It looks like the perfect villain. Obviously DeVito, as always, is absolutely just stone cold fucking perfect there.
Yep. No, he really plays this role well. We then move to the party at Babe Manor, and we see the confrontation between Frank and Driscoll, dude. And right off the bat here, dude, they absolutely crush and murder the game with the neon fluorescent outfits, the music, the decor of the party. I mean, it is straight up right out of Ski School. Party Mountain. I mean, that is right where it's from, dude. And I absolutely love that. I thought they nailed that.
Yeah, it really is a combination of two different scenes from Ski School. I think where you have the one party scene with all the fluorescent lights, with like the dudes walking through with the keg and everything, and you see the topless girls. And then the next morning they wake up, the shit's all a mess, and like the developer guy comes in to have the confrontation. But for the most part, I mean, this is following those two scenes. Even some of the ways that they're blocked, a little bit of the dialogue. The thing that's not in there is the exchange between Driscoll and Frank about their mountain not being big enough for the both. And they start talking about their balls, and like it's like, oh yeah, I lost one of them, prostate thing. And like, Frank's like, yeah, me too. I still got one of them, but it's just rattling around there, not doing anything. And just seeing them kind of like, they're sworn enemies, but like they still kind of commiserate on the level of like, oh shit, we're getting old, dude. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think this scene, maybe more than any, it's really ripped from Ski School, right? I mean, we see so many facets here that are just completely taken from Ski School.
Yeah, really, the main difference just being that the confrontation happens at the party, which makes it kind of cool because then there's a crowd watching them. And again, because I've watched this episode a bunch of times, so I kind of always try to just look at different things when I'm watching it at this point. And some of the background actors are just like overacting to like, oh shit, like to all the the insults they're doing and like laughing at the balls. So if you're watching this, whenever you've seen it a few times and watching it again, pay attention to the background acting, and not only in this scene but the whole episode. There's some good background gags going on and stuff like that, both from the actors and some of the set decoration and stuff.
Outstanding work. It's the little things, dude. It's the details. Magnum Mills, we move from there where we finally see Charlie. And dude, I gotta say, this episode, we'll get to it, but this is Charlie living his best life in this episode. And Charlie finally breaks away from the Dennis Frank team, and we meet Dennis's goons, right? We meet basically Section 1 here, Reed and the Section 1 goons from Ski School. And another really good scene here.
Oh God, I mean, and Dennis like starts talking like, where these guys come from? He's like, I don't know, they're Switzerland or something. I don't know, they were goons. This guy, here's my number 2. Like, he doesn't even know their names. And Dennis is just, you can tell this is kind of what he's always dreamed of. He has his own kind of nameless supply of goons that will simply just do whatever he wants. And then the way he talks to them is just kind of like, oh yeah, go have a good time or whatever. But not if it means you're not going to get first place, because if you don't get first place, I'm going to be furious. And he's kind of doing that quiet, like Dennis Reynolds implying, like, you might not wake up alive if you don't get first place. So maybe think about it before you go ahead and yeah, I mean, he's just, again, like you said, totally channeling Reed Jansen's, who's the main villain from Ski School. Real dick. Great hair though.
He does have good hair. It's a battle of hair for sure. Dude, one thing with Dennis here though, right? I mean, I think this would work even if they weren't doing the Ski School thing, because he's just so perfect in this role of being able to kind of play this character with his goons. And it's like, he really, the only thing in his life that matters is this race. And then of course his reward, which is Tatiana after the race. I mean, that Dennis's mind, like, that's only thing at all costs, dude. So it just works so well. And again,
yeah, it makes me wonder a little bit if, like, Frank kind of set this up knowing, like, that's why he got to put the money in this, because he knew Dennis would go down the rabbit hole like this, and that would help him distract everyone while he fracked the mountain. He never comes out right and says it, but I think, like, getting Tatiana and everything, like him saying it paid for the girls to get topless, it makes a lot of sense that Frank knew going in that Dennis would react like this. So he set it up that way, makes it smart. And one of my favorite gags here is you see Charlie start being like, well, why should I stay with you? And Frank's like, and Dennis is like, oh, I don't care. Go with them. Go be a loser, whatever. And Charlie keeps trying to drink his Coors Light, and that's to smack it out of his hand, and then it cuts away. They come back, and Charlie's pulling on another Coors Light. And he's just like, where are you getting those? And he's just like, he's got, like, it's like a video game where you have this one tiny sack but can hold, like, 10,000 arrows, or he's just got his, like, infinite sack of Coors Lights or infinite pockets or whatever. He's just, pulling them out.
It's yes, Charlie at his best.
He needs them. They're ski poles, man. He can't be caught without them.
Yeah, dude. That's how he
gets around the mountain. He's like a cross country skier. He's even just using the Coors Light ski poles just to move between building and building.
That's how he shreds the damn powder, dude. We get another announcer here. The announcer again. He knows my name. I mean, this.
But he says, "Oh, it looks like Charlie's leaving Dennis and Frank or whatever." And
he knows my name.
Like, we're here for 2 days. 2 days. It's like this is their life now. Like, no, this is literally a 48-hour vacation. It's not even a vacation. It's 48 hours. Like, you barely have time to. You don't even have to pack more than 2 pair of underwear. That's not a vacation.
It's not a vacation, dude. It's a pit stop. And but yeah, that again, I thought they did that really good. That could have been really cheesy and shitty, but they figured out a way to work that announcer bit in, and they did a great job. Another good scene. Magnum Mills. We then go to Charlie again, where he joins Mac, D, and Driscoll to do a prank involving the women's shower. Okay, now let's just preface this by saying we are in no way, shape, or form ever going to endorse doing a prank or recommend in any way, shape, or form doing a prank involving the women's shower. Stay away. Don't do any pranks on any women ever. Nothing in the shower.
Stay away from their bathing in facilities in general.
They're private, womanly things.
That's their personal space. You stay out of that. And you kind of have to talk about it. And again, this is probably the toughest scene in the episode because it's directly commenting on stuff from both Ski School and those 80s, early 90s movies.
Yes, you see so much here. You see Porky's, you see Ski School. And the thing in Ski School, the big thing was with Section 8 is they pull the big prank, right? And they pull the big prank and a variety of them. But that's, I mean, again, shout out to that whole era of like what pranks and shit looked like. And they are not acceptable in today's age, but they were back then. And that's a crazy thing. And it's a great thing. We've evolved as a people. That's progress, bro. So, that's a good thing. But this was, like you said, a tough one here.
I mean, this is really where Caitlin Olsen as Dee gets to shine with Dean Cameron here. The whole exchange of Dee trying to kind of legitimately, like, why is this funny again? And just kind of Dean Cameron being like, oh, yeah, because when I stick my dick through the hole, I yell special delivery. And Dee's kind of like, I'm still not quite sure how that's funny. And Mac's like, oh, I think it's funny because they don't want to see it. And then he's like, oh, see, this guy's getting it. And Dee's just kind of like, I don't know how that's funny. And then Charlie shows up and he's like, oh, yeah, that's like that's sexual assault.
Yeah. Yes, when Charlie's guiding you with those things, that's you're in trouble here. And
He usually knows bird law. I mean, this is really
He
kind
knows
of
bird law.
tangential. Maybe he knows about some of the sexual harassments of birds. I don't know exactly how that goes, but as far as the avian community.
I mean, that would be foul, Magnum Mills, to have that. That would be a foul, yeah. Dude, one thing here though is we see Mac and D starting to kind of catch on to like this isn't as cool, kind of like when they went to Atlantic City or whatever. It's like this isn't as, or Jersey Shore. They went to Jersey Shore. They're like, this isn't as great as I thought.
I remember, yeah.
Yes, as I remember. But dude, how funny was it when Dean Cameron trying to get himself hard, and just the physical comedy here, you just see him like moving and shit. Dude, this was, I don't know why, but this is one of the funniest parts.
I think I cried the first time I saw it, just because it's great act. You see him like in the Foley work here, the sound effects are just, and then you get the look on Mac and D and like their faces, and he's just like, oh, and you see like the frustration in these faces, like, fuck. All right, if you're hard already, just go ahead to me and I'll circle back around. And he's just furiously like,
dude, he looks down at his dick and he's like, "You bastard!" It's just
so good. It's so funny. It's so. I hate to be what a podcast. And just like how funny, but you should. I mean, at this point, if you really like this episode, unfortunately, for better or worse, this image is going to be seared into your mind for the rest of your life. So if you get to Alzheimer's late in life and beware of people who are just kind of around you in your latter days. You might be, spitting some Driscoll shit from the back of the noodle.
Yeah, dude. Dave Driscoll, man, at his best here, dude. And then we mentioned it earlier, Charlie kind of going on his own and living his best life. And actually, this also happens in The Gang Goes to Jersey Shore. Same thing, but Charlie has one of his best nights ever. But Charlie has, dude, I'm just so happy for Charlie. This scene is incredible, and this was like, dude, this was like well done, man. Like Charlie banging Tatiana here. Charlie bangs Tatiana, and it is unbelievable. Jesse's girl throughout the entire scene. It's basically a montage of like Charlie getting into like a very physical, like
pretty damn explicit
bang session, dude, where I mean he's not penetrating obviously, but they're touching here, dude. Like you telling me he's not flopping around? He must have been taped down, because I mean this is like a full-blown, like it's not like the greatest love and history sex scene, but it's up there, bro. Like this is a real sex scene.
And speaking of seared into your brain, when I hear Jesse's girl now, there's this one Charlie Day's got Tatiana in the doggy style, and the expression on Charlie Day. I mean, it's like a kid who just went to Disneyland and Santa Claus gave him a plate of cocaine to do off of prime Jessica Alba's breasts or something. It was like,
he's so
it was
happy.
Just so, and every he gets progressively, they cut away to a couple of different shots, and he just keeps getting progressively like, oh my god, okay, this is happening, this is really happening, and at the end he's talking to Dennis, he's like, jacuzzi sex, Dennis,
and not just regular sex, jacuzzi sex, dude. And how great is it, like where they're doing this montage, and in one scene he's just playing the sax.
Oh, that's how it finishes, when he's like on a she's like laying on a bearskin rug, and he's sitting in the chair, she's like stroking they're both naked as fuck, and she's like stroking his leg as he just plays the saxophone.
It's so good, dude. It's just, yeah, that's just, it's outstanding.
And we earlier how that scene begins too, because it just starts with Charlie's walking past the hot tub. Yeah. Tatiana's in the hot tub topless, and he kind of looks at her and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be looking at your breasts." And she's like, "Oh, Charlie, I do not mind me. You're on the mountain." Which again, commenting on like in those 80s, they were just like, "Oh, here's some random topless girls." I mean, that was just a thing that happened in a lot of movies back then.
So many, and throughout ski school. I mean, that's like, dude, I don't. You could lose count. Definitely way more boobs than what fit on a two hands and two sets of toes. So
but then when Charlie finally, when he just gives in, and he kind of looks at her, and he just like, all right, I'm just gonna start going with this, and he just gets in like fully clothed, jumps in the hot tub, starts making out with Tatiana. He's like, "No, we're talking."
This is just Charlie again. So happy for Charlie, because he usually gets the shit end of the stick, dude. Great to see.
Whenever
him,
Charlie, like usually a win for Charlie is like he gets a weird piece of glass from the waitress, where he gets a new rat killing stick. Like this is a big win for Charlie. Although it depends on how we did this checkup at the clinic after. We never did find out about that.
We did not find out about that, but Big win for him, dude. Proud of him, happy for him. Jacuzzi sex, Dennis. I mean, that's enough said right there. We move on from that epic scene and we go right to the pre-race confrontation. Driscoll and the cops, and then Charlie and Dennis. This is wild, right? Because this was, again, direct reference to Ski School with the big final race.
Yeah, you gotta have the final race. Again, they do it in Ski School too. South Park does it in Aspen, which is their kind of Ski School episode, and they probably have a little bit, maybe it's actually more similarities here to South Park that did come out quite a bit before this. So I don't know, it's not impossible that South Park, kind of cribbed out a parody of Ski School a little bit too. But again, this is just perfect. And this is when Dee and Mac finally realize, like, oh, even his cool ass hair was bullshit. When you see Driscoll's hat and wig get ripped off when he gets arrested, and they're like, yeah, maybe these guys aren't as cool as we thought they were. And D drops I'd like to resign from Team Sexual Predator line. I mean, just all bang, 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 just in a nice little twist too. You kind of knew that was probably what was going to happen, something, but I thought Charlie was going to race because he's kind of playing the Johnny role from Ski School, but.
In Magnum Mills, to your point with this Driscoll thing, the gang does such a great job, the big three and the people behind the scenes here of doing some really horrible shit, but then having a way to point it out and basically like let it be known that that's some terrible shit and you shouldn't do it. Like they have a way of like doing this. They did it with racism. They do it with all different types of shit. And they do it here, right? Like all episode, we're seeing Driscoll and all these horrible, like just bad shit that they do to women, and it's not good. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's like the show does a great job of showing like, yeah, that's not cool at all. But it was very funny and well done throughout. And I just got to give them credit for that. They really seem to do a great job at that kind of episode in and episode out. When they're trying to point out something like that, they've got a good way of doing it.
Yeah, the writing and the tone here is solid because again, they're trying to comment on something and kind of make fun of it while also kind of paying homage to it and still being funny while they do it. And that's a pretty thin needle to thread there. So I really appreciate it. I got to say at the end here, you see finally Mac and D put on the full like 80s, 90s, the neon ski gear. And as somebody who was on a ski slope at that point in time, that shit is period correct, 100%. I don't even know where they found that shit. I don't know. Maybe it's coming back now. That's just how it works now. All right. It comes back around.
Oh, dude, it all comes back around, man. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. Let's bring it back, bro. Let's bring back the 90s, the 80s.
You just want an excuse to wear the Zubaz pants because you're a Bills fan. Don't lie.
Absolutely, bro. If they weren't $80, I'd have a pair. Like, I can't believe how expensive those things are.
Damn. And then that kind of leads into the big race, which is going to be from Charlie and Dennis. They're going to go up at it. So Charlie kind of walks up here with Tatiana now. He's all confident. He got his jacuzzi sex on, makes Dennis aware of that. So he knows. And he's just like, I like the bot now. I understand the rules. And she's ready to race just like that.
It's so good. And that scene where Glenn Howerton and Charlie are facing off is just awesome, dude. I mean, that's just really good acting.
Top 3 Dennis Reynolds maniacal laugh. He's like,
yeah.
He just did so 80s over the top, just wonderful. I mean, just one, like fresh baked cookies on Christmas morning.
Wonderful. Magnum Mills, that does in fact bring us to our final race scene, the post-race reveal of Frank's real, some would say sinister, plan.
Yeah,
this was
Frank,
again,
Frank the mountain, dude.
Frank Frax, dude. That would have been it. We talked about that too. That would have been a great episode title here instead of the gang hits. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of the gang hips the slopes, but Frank Frax a mountain just seems like it works really good. Like, I wish we could ask the guys, like, was that consideration? Yeah, like was that in consideration? Like Frank Frax the mountain, because I feel like that
what would have happened throughout the whole episode. I would have gotten so into the ski school thing, I would have forgotten completely about it. And then it would have come back at the end, and I've been like, oh shit, but usually they do try to do the title like off of that, like off the cold open a little bit there. But yeah, I would have been, because you could have been like a title like that, like the gang hits the slopes. You kind of maybe would have had some idea what's coming. Frank Frax a mountain is like, it could be anything. The mystery box could be anything. It could even be a mystery box. I mean,
the mystery box
what it is.
It could be a boat, dude. We don't know. And in Magnum Mills, this final race scene again references Ski School straight up the ass. I mean, it's all over the place here. But the way it goes down is actually more similar to Aspen, right, from South Park a little
Yeah,
bit.
because the same thing happens in Aspen where you have I think it's Kyle, who's just like Charlie, like he just kind of like, he's like what is it, like a French fry pizza, and like Thad, the cool dude's like just, he's just killing it until like the one chick like flashes him and then he weirds out and then loses. Except for because it's Sunny, Charlie can't win, so Dennis manages to, even though he breaks his goddamn ankles, crawl over the line and win by a heartbeat. Again, a little bit of a shout out to Talladega Nights. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that's spoiler alert for Talladega Nights. I guess that happens.
And again, just the whole little montage thing there, and I thought it was just so well done. Even though Charlie didn't win, he's confident now, fresh off that jacuzzi sex, dude. He understands the rules of the mountain. He likes the mountain. He's comfortable here. It was just a great showdown. It really was.
Well, and then the best where they're like, all right, you gotta get Dennis to a hospital. Frank says he hired the hookers to take the tops off. Tatiana's a prostitute. Charlie's got to go to the thing. Dennis got to go to the hospital. And they're like, hey, we still have another day. You want to like say they've only been there one day. And all this happened, and they're like, nah, we're good. That's enough, Mountain. And then the announcer comes back on, and Charlie's like, oh, so Frank, that explains it. You paid for him too? Frank's like, Charlie, I have no idea who that guy is. And Charlie's like, huh. I guess things really are different on the mountain. It's just, and then right into the song and the end credits over the skiing. It's just, we're gonna have to grade this, but I got a feeling the grades are gonna be
pretty high. I mean, there's Snoop Dogg before the halftime show, bro. Before we do figure out how many Patty's bucks we're gonna give this bad boy, Magnum Mills, can we find any dislikes? I mean, no pressure here, but you go first, bro, because. Spoiler alert, I might not have many.
Just the line with Dennis, like the wanting to be clean with Tatiana or whatever, it was just a touch too creepy for me. It's it's in character for Dennis, but it just was, the rest of the episode seemed to be more of kind of a light parody or interesting touch, and that was just like straight up creep mode. I think it was just trying to show how into it Dennis was. Like he was just fully letting himself be the real Dennis, kind of, for as scary as that is. He was, that's a man who likes the skins right there. But yeah, that's pretty much and actually the only other one, you keep saying 30 minutes. This was like 22 minutes. I would kill for like a 28-minute cut of this, because it feels like there were a couple scenes that they filmed that didn't make it in here. So I would love an extended cut of this.
I really don't have anything about this I didn't like. I mean, it just worked so well. And so therefore I'm not going to add anything to that, Magnum Mills. I'm just going to leave it where it is, bro. I'm going to leave it where it is. I mean, I had a feeling we were going to struggle a little bit to find much we did, a whole lot that we disliked here, but that's probably a first world problem in and of itself. And so, it's that time of the show, Magnum Mills, on a scale of 0 to 100, a fresh, crispy hundy Patty's bucks. How do you rate The Gang Hits the Slopes?
Man, I gotta knock it a touch for the Dennis line, because again, if it was a perfect episode, I would have 0 dislikes. Would again like it to be a touch longer, but that's not really the show's fault, especially back when this aired, before they maybe had a little bit more freedom to let it run a touch long. So I'm gonna get smart here. I'm gonna give it my agent 99 out of 100 Patty's bucks, almost the tippy top. It's in my top 5, dead or alive.
Man, dude, look, I'm right there with you. I can't give it 100 just because I don't know. I just don't want to, but it's damn close, dude. I'm giving it 99. I know that's lame, but I'm matching Magnum Mills. 99 Patty's bucks. We're going to circulate that around here. We're going to create our own economy with 99 Patty's bucks, because this one was incredible. Not a lot of surprises here in an episode that we always reference. It's fantastic. It never ceases to make me laugh and cheer me up. Like anytime I put this episode on, it immediately makes my mood and my day or my night better. Listen, if you've enjoyed the breakdown of this episode, please make sure that you like and subscribe to our podcast if you're not already, and check us out on YouTube. Magnum Mills. Tell the people where they can find all of our free content. And did I mention it's free? We have free content all over the place for free. It's completely free, Magnum Mills.
Oh, see, now this is like usually in sales, they tell you to say, say it 3 times. You can tell he probably failed a couple things. So he said it like 5 or 6 times to be sure. And You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching for Night Pod Cometh. You can find us on social media at Night Pod Cometh. We're from the Joe Blow Football Show, who you can find at joeblowfootballshow.com and on social media at Joe Blow Show. We also podcast about fantasy football, dynasty football, wagering, DFS, fun stuff. Make a couple bucks, don't cost you nothing. Find that by searching for Seize the Gap Fantasy on your favorite podcast platform and on social media at Seize the Gap FF. And we're covering the 6th and final season of the show Peaky Blinders. Find that by searching for PBP, Peaky Blinders, because it's the PBP, Peaky Blinders podcast on your favorite podcast streaming platform and on social media at Peaky Podcast. I'm Magnum Mills. That's Jamie G. And remember, this has been the Night Pod Cometh. We are a fighter for the Night Pod, not a fighter of the Night Pod.
Whoa, Master of the Sun. This has been the Night Pod Cometh, presented by the Joe Blow Football Show. We are in no way associated with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, 3 Arts Entertainment, RCG Productions, FXP, or FXX. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Any views or opinions expressed here are personal and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations who may or may not be associated with the Joe Blow Football Show. If you have any questions, please contact us at nightpodcometh@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment.